Howdy, folks. Curtis Wilkerson and Scottie Bordelon of Natty State Sports here with you.
This boy green.
Boy, very green. We're recording here on St. Patty's Day, hence the green. Shout out to the Manhattan Jaspers. My wife went to grad school there.
Is that
worked
right?
with the baseball team, so that's kind of the giveaway on the hat there. So shout out to her
I
in
was going to ask
Manhattan.
if there was a story there.
There's a little bit of a story there, yes. It is also Selection Sunday, which we're getting ready to live stream our bracket picks, and that'll be a good time. But really around these parts, it's like Portal Eve, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we might have to change the name from, Pot at the Palace to Pot of the Portal or something
Pot
for
at
like
the
the next
Portal.
45 days because it's, it's about to get real here. No doubt about it. We felt like we needed to do a little Sunday show, a primer. There's been a lot of movement, a lot of things that we probably need to talk about before the floodgates open, bright and early Monday morning. It's gonna be wild. Scotty, man, like we've teased it, we've previewed it, we've talked about how this could be a defining offseason for Arkansas basketball, and it's here, buddy. So excited to cover all the ups and downs and twists and turns with you, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of them.
For sure, yeah. And if you you watched our post-SEC tournament, Pot at the Palace, and toward the end of it, you were asking some questions and like, hey, how many, do you think we'll have a story up before we even get back to Fayetteville on Friday? The answer was yes.
Emphatically yes.
Emphatic yes. It was interesting. I was unaware that Denaje Harris could have another season of ball to play.
Yeah, how about that?
Apparently that's the case.
Yeah.
And then some moves that I think we kind of saw coming have happened too. So.
For sure. Yeah, man, it has been it's been wild already, and it's going to continue to be. A couple suggestions before we really dive in here. You need to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Natty State Sports. We're going to have a lot of content on there during portal season. When things pop, we're going live. When there are enough new names that come to light or some good information, we're going to cut and record a new episode. If it's daily, so be it. If it's every other day, fine. We're going to try to keep those pretty short and concise because the portal is just like, it never stops. It moves fast. Things change quick, and things can get old quick and become old news. So we're going to keep it as up to date as possible.
I mean, if you remember last year, Arkansas got a commitment from Chandler Lawson on June 24th or June 27th or something like that. So this could be a 3-month ride.
Right. And then a couple years ago, if you remember, they finished up at the NCAA tournament. I guess it was at the Bubble in Indianapolis, and we got back, and Eric Musselman did a postseason wrap up press conference like the day after they got back, and right as we started, Aldis Toney committed and signed out of the portal. Like we were on the presser.
Yeah.
So I remember jumping off and putting the story out during that time. So
wasn't he like a couple minutes behind?
Yeah,
when he was supposed to come in, and you figured. I think I remember that now.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that was crazy. You figured something had to be going down if he's running a couple minutes behind.
Yes, absolutely. So like this particular episode, this one's going to go a little bit longer because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But if you're listening Monday afternoon, you're like, oh, why didn't they talk about this guy or that guy or so and so already hit the portal? Well, keep in mind when this happened and know that there's going to be another episode coming soon. So we're going to be rolling them out there. I would also highly recommend that you tap into our website. NattyStateSports.com. We've got our roster tracker and scholarship distribution that's already up. We've got the portal big board that's updated with names and notes and highlights and shot charts, just tons of information. It's really good stuff, and it's a good way for everybody to kind of keep up with what's going on. And it's free $99. Yeah. It ain't behind no paywall, so you'll be able to keep up with all that stuff. So make sure you do both of those things. But let's get started and get everybody primed up with what's to come. We're going to talk about a lot of things here today on Portal Eve. One, we're going to talk about Eric Musselman and the coaching carousel rumors that are going on. We're going to talk about the early roster movement with the Razorbacks, which, if you listen to the last episode, we expected. There's more to come, and what we expect from maybe the guys that are left with decisions to make. We're going to talk a little portal strategy, because this is new territory for this Arkansas basketball program under Eric Musselman, and then the stuff that everybody's really looking forward to. We're saving it for the end, but some of the early names that you probably want to get familiar with that's kind of surfaced over the last few days here. All right, Scotty, let's start with the awkward part. The Muss Bus Is it leaving town, or is it just looking for some gas money? It's been crazy, man. Like we were in Nashville together, and we heard just rumor after rumor after rumor while we were there. I mean, people were coming up and trying to talk to our radio guys or anybody affiliated with Arkansas, trying to see what the hell Muss is doing. We're getting, text messages while we're there about, oh, his name's popping up with this job. His name's popping up with that job. Keep an eye on this one or that one. Oh, he's staying. It's been all over the place. It's been nuts. I've got some thoughts on it all, but I'm just curious what you've made of this, because, man, like we've heard, Muss connected with jobs at, varying degrees in the past, but it just seems like this has been an overdrive, especially the last several days.
Yeah, it does. I don't know, man. It's been wild, because I don't think in the past that, I mean, and this is probably Captain Obvious, but in the past, this doesn't feel like in the past years, where, you're heading into portal season, potential roster flip, and there's questions beyond what the roster is going to look like.
Yeah.
Like that's been different, and you're right. Like, it seems like there's another school name just about every day, and there's some names,
crazy stuff,
like stuff that I'm just like, if I had heard it from anywhere else or any other source from other than where it came from, I would have said BS.
Yeah.
Absolutely BS. And yeah, dude, I don't know. I think I'm just ready for anything that happens.
For sure.
And I think no doubt we'll continue to hear things. And at this point, I kind of believe it all, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know what to believe at the same time.
Yeah,
like, I just don't know. Like, I'm in a weird headspace with it all.
Same.
But yeah, I think from what we understand, like, there's been an effort to seek other jobs.
Yes.
And to this point, it's just smoke right now. But
right.
we'll see. I think it could get interesting in the next few days.
For sure. Yeah, a lot of smoke. We'll see if it winds up leading to fire. I think, Scotty, there's some truth to maybe both lines of thinking here. Like, as far as Eric Musselman's desire to leave Arkansas, like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't talk to him on a daily basis, so anything I say on that front is just speculation. But here's what I will say, like, this is the longest that Muss has been at a place since the turn of the century. Like, he's not immune to seeking and taking other jobs.
Yeah.
And his name has been involved in several different, places, whether the jobs are open yet or not. I mean, we've been hearing a lot about it, and that, whether that's him directly or his agent reaching out to people, or other schools having interest in him, or other reporters putting it out there on, as him on a short list. Like, it could be from a variety of different sources. But man, like, we've been hearing Louisville to Washington, to Oklahoma State, to Minnesota, to Arizona State, to freaking DePaul. Like, it's been wild. And I know anybody who's been on the internet has heard some of those things too. And it's kind of crazy, because when we go back and, check with sources or different people, like, it's been interesting what we've heard. And I think it's fair for anybody to feel like uneasy or some type of way about it, because
Absolutely.
like it keeps happening. It just feels like anytime things get quiet, then it ramps up again. Two, obviously, like, Muss's buyout is lower than Mike Neighbors right now, and it's scary. Like, it makes you wonder. And three, everything's amplified because this year kind of stunk for the program.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why things are a little bit more heightened now. As far as the jobs themselves, like, it's crazy, man. Like, I was doing some notes, some show prep this morning, and I was thinking about it at the time, and I was like, yeah, like, I don't see this Louisville thing happening unless they miss on, like, several other candidates. Well, then you see, like, an updated board come out from, some of their guys and some national guys, and it's like, but they don't know if they can really get Scott Drew, and they're not sold on Dusty May because he just had that one really good season.
Yeah.
And boy, they can't afford Mick Cronin's buyout. So the longer this drags on, like, Muss is, maybe a guy to keep an eye on. So, like, I had to go back and edit that note, because I'm like, well, that makes sense. So I don't think he's at the top of their list or whatever, but you could see how the dominoes could fall to where something like that could happen. The Washington thing, that's what was really blowing up while we were in Nashville.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because, like, I've been told by a couple national sources that I've checked in with, like, if they don't take the Utah State coach, the sprinkle guy, that
say,
Muss,
it seems like it's his job.
Yeah. But that Muss could be a legit target there. Yeah. But then just keeping it a buck with you, like, I flat out asked somebody close to Muss around the program, and I got laughed at for even bringing it up. It's like, what the hell are you talking, Washington? So, like, who knows, man?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of all over the place. DePaul hired a guy, so that's whatever. That was kind of wild
they
to
got
me.
Chris Holtman.
Yeah, which that's a pretty good hire for them, by the way.
Yeah, he wasn't jobless very long.
No, man, he's doing okay for himself.
Good luck to him, by the way. That's one of the toughest Power 5 or Power 6 leagues there are programs to win in.
Right.
So best of luck to him.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, shout out to
and also Porter Moser was like allegedly, reportedly, you know, one of the top guys for that DePaul job, and then Chris Holtman gets it.
Right. So this has kind of been all over the place.
Yeah, my head's been spinning for probably since we got to Nashville. I think that's like when it legitimately started spinning.
Yeah, for sure, man. You know, other jobs that haven't even opened. Well, first of all, like, shout out to Ohio State for firing Chris Holtman in the middle of the year, only to ultimately hire the interim that was his assistant. So, like, they paid him $8 million buyout or whatever, and they just promote his assistant.
Yeah,
so
that was a decision,
kind of an interesting move, but it's funny. And don't get me wrong, like, that guy's done a really good job, so whatever. But no, like, I just have a feeling that this thing might drag out a little bit because, you know, like, if these other jobs open, like if Arizona State opens, if Hurley's done there, like, that one scares me.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled
a little
for that
bit,
one.
and you just never know how the dominoes are going to fall. Like, once other guys start taking jobs that are open now, it creates other openings, and there's a trickle down there. So I think we definitely have to pay attention to it, man. The other thing, and we touched on this a little bit in our last episode, like, Arkansas could put an end to all of this by announcing an extension, like Ole Miss and Florida and South Carolina and Alabama have all done with their respective coaches in the past week here. I'm not sure that's going to happen because, frankly, it's complicated. Like, if you look at basic contract negotiations, like, Muss probably wants more money since he's getting passed up all of a sudden by all these other head coaches in the league. And his full body of work, I think, probably justifies that. But, like, this past season does not.
Right.
So how much leverage does he have for that? On the other end of the coin, like, if you're Hunter Yurachek, you might be willing to do that if you get more security on the back end with a buyout that gives you a little bit of, you know, ability to sleep at night. But you know, this is not a joke here. Like, Muss is a guy who actually prefers having that freedom and flexibility of movement, so he might not be interested in that. So, like, it's just there's a lot that goes on there. Like, it's deep, brother.
Yeah, it really is. That's what you were talking about or asking me about the extension the other day, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, and I kind of at the time saw it from, like, maybe Hunter Yurachek's perspective. Like, I don't know about extending him after a 16 and 17 season. But yeah, I think you just kind of opened my eyes to, or my eyes are more open now to, would Eric want it?
Right.
And that's what I don't know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be wild. They've been contacting guys in the portal, and so, you know, everything kind of seems, at least on that front, like it's kind of business as usual almost.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's interesting. You know, one thing, like, I also know the staff is very adamant about the need for improved or more NIL, which obviously plays a factor. And yes, like, more money should yield a better players and a better team. But on the other side of the coin, like, how excited are you about, you know, forking over more dough as a donor or a booster, like whoever, who probably supplied the funds for this past season's roster that failed miserably. So it's, again, man, like, it's tough. I see it from both sides. And you're right. Like, for what it's worth, any conversations I've had since the season ended on Thursday with, like, anybody on the staff have come across to me as this is a group that plans on being in Fayetteville next year. But I don't know why they would say otherwise until something happened. So I don't know how to feel. And it's interesting because, again, like I'm looking at my notes for show prep here, and it's like, as of today, I would lean towards Muss being back at Arkansas next season, but I'm not confident enough to bet on it. That's what I wrote this morning.
Yeah.
But since we started we started this stuff here talking about, the different job opportunities and how this thing has been just changing like crazy. Since we started talking about Muss and we've been recording for 15 minutes, I've received 2 text messages that said he's gone from 2 different sources.
Wow.
It's so like, who knows?
This is also minute to minute, bro.
It's crazy, man. We'll be ready for it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would imagine. Yeah, you might just want to turn your notifications on. For
like
either one of us or Natty State Sports. We might feel like we're going to be going live.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is absolutely
in
nuts.
the near future.
And it's and we're gonna get to it, actually like right now, but this puts Arkansas basketball, like from a program standpoint, into a really tough spot because they're already getting like negative recruiting against them for, kind of some of the stuff that happened with the freshmen last year, the transfers coming in this year and not developing, like people are going to take their opportunities to, get after the program when they're down. And
absolutely.
Now you add in the fact that like there's no assurances that the coach is going to stick around, and that does complicate things. So they got to figure it out, man. And I do not envy Hunter Yurachek right now. I don't, man. It's a tough deal because the other thing about it too is like Muss he's like Yurachek's ace higher right now because like Pittman's a lame duck,
Yeah.
Man, it's just it's wild stuff. Wild stuff.
Really is.
Woo. We'll see what happens with all that. The roster movement that's going on right now. First of all, like we promised after the last episode that we would not talk about this 2023-24 season anymore, and we're staying true to that. But we do need to discuss the roster movement and the things that have been going on and where things stand, maybe with some upcoming decisions. You touched on it already, that had a few guys who are already seeking other options. It's kind of funny. Like I remember on our pod that we recorded Thursday, and I said that there are 3 guys at least on that list of dudes with, eligibility remaining that I guarantee you will not be here next year. 2 of those guys are among the 3 that have already entered. Joseph Pinion, hate it, love the kid, not a surprise at all. I think we both kind of knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, we've talked about that in the past. It's just I think it's one of those came back for a second season, probably envisioning that he would have some sort of a role.
Yep.
Because, I was kind of buying it in the preseason that he was carrying himself differently.
Looked good. Maybe put it, added to his frame a little bit, still had the jumper. Defensively was, that was where it was going to start with him having a role, I think. And I don't know that really panned out. But I think it's just a case of like, go find your level and go hoop. Like, I think it's kind of simple as that. Yep, for sure. Keon Minifield was another one. And a couple things here. Like before the SEC tournament began, we were tipped off a little bit that Keon didn't make the trip. And we got a release like right before tip-off against Vanderbilt that said, he's back working on academics or whatever.
On the Jalen Graham plan.
Yeah, he's on that Jalen Graham plan. Listen, Keon Minifield, I'm told, dropped all of his classes and was gone before the team even left for the SEC tournament. Like it was a wrap. And there were academic issues. Like I guess
just not going to class.
Yeah, like whatever. And I'm not even sure if he went on the trip to Alabama or not. But he certainly didn't go to Nashville. And he's gone. He's in the portal. And what I will say for him is like now that the new ruling has come out that second-time transfers are eligible right away, like the writing was on the wall.
For sure.
And it's too bad because I like Keon, but that's another one that's gone. And then you mentioned Najee Harris. Like, he's the only person that knew he had any eligibility left. Like, his bio on the U of A website says 1 year of eligibility remaining.
Yeah.
So
shout out to him. Maybe he goes back to a Southern Miss-ish type program and
Yeah, man.
does some dirty dog work for one of those schools.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to need a waiver. I was told that might have to come from his the JUCO that he went to initially as a freshman. He only played 2 games. I don't know what he had going on there, but I mean, he might need a medical hardship.
I think as much
something.
as we talk about like the portal guys, I think it's the season where guys who have had, maybe a season in the past that's been maybe marred by injury, they're working on a waiver for another year. Like I think it's that time of the year where that's kind of that's pretty prevalent
for sure. And so that's 3 guys who are gone now. There are obviously several others that are going to have some decisions to make. Bayfall, full disclosure, barring a change, I don't expect him to be back. I'm actually surprised that it hasn't happened yet. So
I'm a little bit too, yeah.
But you never know. Like if they have exit meetings or whatever, and things could obviously change. But that was one that I anticipated happening fairly quickly. That hasn't happened yet. So we'll see. Portal doesn't actually open until Monday.
That's true.
And not everybody just announces it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't just give the info to Tipton.
Yeah.
Like some of these other guys do. In a lot of cases, it'll be a deal where they submit their paperwork and it goes through compliance. And when they pop up in the portal, people see it and put it out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's good like these compliance folks on Monday morning.
Dude, imagine driving into
you
work.
Don't envy Hunter Yurachek. You don't envy any of these compliance folks, dude.
Imagine driving into work, bro, and just being like, damn it.
It's going to be a long Monday. Portal season opens for compliance folks, too. So.
Yeah, man.
It'll be interesting.
Layden Blocker is another one. He sure did not look like a happy camper in the locker room after either game in Nashville. Based on that alone, I would tell you he's out of here, but I have a pretty good source on the matter that says nothing's decided on that front.
Undecided
at the moment. Okay. So taking some time to think it through, and I think there are a lot of reasons why a guy like Layden Blocker would probably prefer to stick around, but got to take care of yourself too and make the right decision. So I'm sure he's going to get with his inner circle and try to figure all that stuff out. So
as Devo Davis said, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You got to start thinking about taking care of yourself.
What do you think taking care of yourself means for Devo in terms of his basketball future?
Getting paid to be a professional somewhere.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I kind of got the feeling he's played his last game as a Razorback after his very candid interview with you.
The interview, which I'm grateful that he trusted me enough to talk with me. It did not come off like a guy who was going to be back in college, or at least back in college here.
Agreed. And
whatsoever.
We'll see what happens. But I personally can't see Devo being overly excited at the thought of playing with an entirely flipped roster again after the way this went.
And again,
clearly frustrated him.
God, yeah, like what, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, 3 times, 4 times is.
Yeah.
Third time took a toll on him, clearly.
And then he his stock will never be any higher than it was at the end of last season. And this was not a good year for him from an individual standpoint. Some of that's his fault. Some of it's not. Like, it's just kind of the role he wound up having to play. And I don't know, go read the story at Natty State Sports, and you could shed a little bit more light on it. But I would be surprised. I think if he was back, not necessarily anything groundbreaking here, but do have it confirmed through somebody on the staff that Arkansas would be open and would like to have Caleb Battle, Tremont Mark, and Trevin Brazil back next year. Shocker.
Yeah.
I too would like those
good
things.
Place to start.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? I'd be floored if they got all 3 of them back. Like I'd consider it a win if they got one of them back, honestly.
Yeah.
Just given professional stuff, and I'll leave it a bit up to your imaginations out there, but I can tell you that there is some legit tampering going on from another program with one guy out of that trio. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So I think you have to look at Arkansas getting picked off by the professional ranks here for some of those guys. It's essentially their 3 best players. But if somebody hits the portal, that can piss you off, but don't be surprised because there's been some things thinging on that front. So we'll see, you know.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to track for sure.
Yeah.
I can't envision a world where T-Mark is back.
I can't either.
I could see KB staying in college, just going somewhere else and maybe finding a place where he can be a guy from day one.
Yeah.
And I just can't see TB coming back either.
I can't either.
That's just my opinion on those three guys. But,
yeah, that's where I'm at. And again, but like you said, that's opinion. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think KB can play professionally somewhere and get paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if he just, some guys just like college, like the lifestyle, and they can be a guy, or a dude in college instead of being one of the guys, professionally. For
sure. And so, if you're following along there, as of this moment, Arkansas has 8 of its 13 scholarships accounted for. That's 5 guys who currently haven't just announced what they're going to do, one or the other, that have eligibility left, or maybe it's 6 guys actually. And then you
6.
have the 2 freshmen, Jalen Shelley and Isaiah Elohim, who were signed and at the moment expected to be on campus and with the team next year. So that leaves 5 openings right now. That is going to increase and potentially double, for the portal. So there's going to be a lot going on. Scotty, the approach here from Muss or whoever is going to be really fascinating, I think, to watch because, and Muss alluded to this in his post game after they lost to South Carolina the other day. Like, this is new territory for him, and frankly, like, Arkansas is usually still playing basketball right now. We've heard his stories a million times about doing Zooms before they play Gonzaga.
Games,
yeah,
Sweet 16 games.
So like it sucks, but they have to use that to their advantage early. I think especially when you have an entire roster to build. I don't know about you, man, but like, I'm looking for the Razorbacks to be really aggressive out of the gates and maybe push for a couple early commitments from some of these, early gems that are hitting the portal, while the big dogs are still playing. Like, I think you have to do that. And
you think they'll be aggressive just because of their, maybe this is the wrong way to say it, but just like a track record of just, not exactly being patient.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's complicated, man, because like, I feel like you almost have to nab a couple guys early to set the tone, give yourself some flexibility to be selective the rest of the way. But kind of what you're getting at, like with the impatience, like, here's the thing: you can't have a bunch of swings and misses this year because they had those this past year. So like, they have to be aggressive, but the amount of homework and background checks and film review and fit profiling, like, it's got to be on point. Like, it's got to be at a different level. This coaching staff, frankly, has to do a much better job than it did this time last year of putting the pieces together. So if you're in a situation where you're going to have to add 8 to 10 guys, I think you can be aggressive and maybe take some risk early while the pool of competition that you're working against is lower than it's going to be. And everybody's recruiting the portal. Like, it's not like Duke's not going to be, in the portal or whatever, or Cal or whoever. But I think that you've got an advantage right now where you can get kids in for visits and prioritize them and be out on the road and do all those things.
I think you can be more hyper-focused on certain guys and, like, trying to figure out if they fit exactly what you feel like you need.
Exactly. And you need bodies.
Yeah.
And you can get those right now. I don't know, man. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Arkansas lands a portal commitment by the end of the week. It's just kind of where I'm at with it. Like,
I could see that for sure. There's a couple of names that come to mind with that. I'm sure we can get into them whenever.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. Before we do that, like, I will say this: keep in mind, everybody, that this is a full roster rebuild. It just is. Even if they got Mark, Battle, and TB back, like, you got to build a whole team around it.
Yeah.
So, like, that's just coming. So if you look up and you see a role player or two being added early, understand the process here. Right? Like I'm already seeing people.
Teams need role guys.
Yeah, like every time I, send out a tweet or quote or whatever about, Arkansas has contacted this guy or here's a guy in the portal. Now I just got a bunch of Twitter geniuses. They're just like, well, but can he play defense? Oh, is he from a winning program? This and that. Okay, like I understand that everybody would like to have 8 6'8" to 6'10" guys with 7-foot plus wingspans who can play positions 1 through 5, guard positions 1 through 5, average a triple double, handling ball screens, post up and dunk on people, knock down the three at better than 40%, be an all defensive player who leads the team in blocks and steals.
Sounds
you're
like
not going to get those.
Sounds like you just named LeBron.
Yeah, it's like understand it is a process, right? And like you want to have you're going to have to get some studs. Like you're going to have to maybe recruit an entire starting lineup, but you're also going to have to get those ancillary pieces. So like not everybody's going to be.
I think people, especially, and I kind of understand it. Like based on this year, you want to see the staff go out and just start hitting home runs.
Yeah.
But you also need guys who are a nice double in the gap, or
yes,
just a hard hit ball down the third baseline.
Big baseball
it turns
guy
out
here.
to be a long single, but the guy gets on base. You know what I mean? That's all the baseball I know.
I love that.
But yeah, I mean, not every player is going to be, not every player that you get a commitment from is going to be your leading scorer. Like you need a leading rebounder, you need a glue guy, you need a roll guy, you need non-ego guys who are okay starting or coming off the bench, and their productivity and their attitude and their demeanor and their work ethic and all this stuff is not going to waver.
Right.
You need those guys too, and they can be hard to find. Like that's especially these days, those guys seem pretty rare, don't come around that often, but they are out there. So if you do enough homework on those guys and feel like they fit, could be a nice piece down the line. That it may not exactly look like it in the moment, but because that's maybe what a lot of people thought about Trey Wade.
Yeah,
when Arkansas got a commitment from him, and then he's locked. He's assigned to guard Chet Holmgren in the Sweet 16 and get you to an Elite 8. Like just patience.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With that a little bit.
I remember. He won't mind me saying this, but I remember having a conversation with Gus Arginal, who, shout out to him, his team's in the Sweet 16 of D2 national tournament right now. But that year, we knew Arkansas had like an open scholarship left, and I was like, well, what are you guys looking for? Like what's the missing piece? And he's like, rebounding, man. We need a little bit more rebounding. I think we're good to go. And so then naturally, like I was looking at every 6'10", 6'11" guy that was available in the portal saying, oh, he can rebound or whatever. Then they got Trey Wade, and I was like, what? But then you go look at it, and it's like, well, but he is kind of that guy. Like, he's just going to do that. And like, if that's his role to guard and to rebound or whatever.
Not worried about field goal attempts or, usage or none of that. Just wants to do what it takes to win.
For sure. But, again, Arkansas will be big game hunting, deep sea fishing. All that, they're going to try to hit the grand slam, like you said there. But they've also got to fill in a lot of roles. Like you have to find the right kind of depth, like you alluded to. You got to have an entirely new front court. So you're going to have to get some forwards and some depth there. You're going to need rotational guards. Not everybody's going to be a game changer, but they're all important. And so I think with that in mind, let's talk about maybe some of these early names that are in the portal, which right now it's either guys who have announced their intentions to enter the portal because it doesn't officially happen until Monday, or it's grad transfers who can enter whenever. Those guys are the ones that Arkansas can already contact and talk to. So if you're wondering, well, why hasn't Arkansas contacted so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so? Well, chances are they've just announced that they're going to enter the portal and they're not in it yet, and you can't contact them until Monday. Or if you're on the other side of it and you're saying, well, why are these guys listing names of schools that have contacted them and the portal hasn't even opened yet? Well, it's grad transfers who can technically be in there. I know it's kind of a weird deal, but just for clarification's sake.
On3 put out its basketball transfer portal top players list.
Already?
Yeah. There's, by my count on here, there's 50. They've ranked, I think, their top 62.
Okay.
There's a few interesting names on here. I think you'll like the number one guy.
Okay.
Who I think you want him already. That's Javon Porter.
Hey,
He's
number
number
one
one.
on the list right now, huh?
Number 2 is Jacob Cruz.
Ooh. Name to
And
know.
then on down the list a little bit at number 6 is Marcus Foster.
Okay. Friend of the board.
And number 9 is Chance Moore.
Chance Moore is number 9.
And then number 11 is Clark Slackert from Penn,
Wow.
the kid who, after Arkansas came back from that Hall of Fame Classic in Kansas City, a little bit sleepy. This kid was like, well, he was maybe a redshirt freshman or a redshirt sophomore at the time. He put 25 on him.
I do remember
And
that.
he's
Okay. Yeah.
he's a player.
I remember that because I wrote half of my freaking preview for that game about Jordan Dingle, who
Yeah.
is now at St. John's. And I think he might have led the country or was close to it in scoring last year. And then he wound up not playing.
Right.
And then that kid-
Slacker, he picked up the Slacker.
God, you're good
God,
at
I'm
those.
ridiculous.
Wow. Okay. So
Another name, 15th, Vashon Aleti.
is that right? Okay.
15th.
I like that. I like that a lot. Keep that list pulled up.
Okay.
And let's talk about some of these guys here. Let's start with Marcus Foster, friend of the Natty State Sports transfer portal big board. He was one of the first guys that we put up there. Furman product, average over 17 points per game, big time rebounder at the guard position. Was he 6'4", 200?
Yep.
Really nice player. I think he's definitely a take.
Yeah.
I don't think he's
He's
a starting level or a all SEC level guy. Like right away, I was thinking this could be a freaking dude.
I
The
mean,
more and
I
more-
put him on the board originally. Like his,
Oh, yeah, there he
his
is.
build up there is your team around him.
Yeah,
And then for whatever reason, this year, it just didn't shoot it that well.
he didn't shoot it as well. Good
And,
volume.
Like
but
his 3-point percentage really dipped. He had a stretch. I think it was like a 3-game stretch where he went like 3 for 25. And he was like 1 for 10, 1 for 8, 1 for 7.
he did miss some time with a knee injury,
Yeah.
and I wonder if that.
Yeah, that
Impacted
definitely
it
could
all?
have. It definitely could have. We were watching, straight up, we were watching his highlights on the way back from Nashville.
Yes,
or
we
maybe
were.
we were in Nashville. And I think not to say that we don't like him anymore, but I think he's, like that build changed.
Yeah.
The build changed to a below rim Audis Tony.
Yes.
Which I think we were may have been before the South Carolina game.
Mm-hmm.
We were watching it. I think it was maybe not even. Yeah, Arkansas season wasn't even over yet, but his highlights were out. College Basketball Scouting's got a good video, which that hyperlink. If you go to our big board online, you can click on his highlights. You can click on his shot chart. The shot chart's just it's not pretty, Curtis.
Yeah.
It's not. There's a lot of blue around the perimeter, aside from straightaway threes.
Yeah. And it almost makes me wonder if he is better suited as a secondary playmaker and not the guy, because the year before his numbers were a little bit lower in terms of like overall scoring and everything, but he shot it a hell of a lot better and was way more efficient.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the man on
Yeah.
that particular team.
JP Pegues was the man on that Furman team.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I think he straight up took that game winner against Virginia and was just like,
Yeah.
his head just went rightfully so, I guess. Makes me wonder if he would potentially come here and play second fiddle to somebody.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if he wants to continue to be
somebody's.
the guy, he just needs to stay at Furman.
Yeah.
Like I think if he's going to transfer up, and listen, like if he called Arkansas right now and said, "Hey, I want to commit," I'd take him in a heartbeat, because I think he could really help you, and I definitely think he's a guy who could be in the rotation.
Absolutely.
I just thought maybe initially like, oh, he's a dude you can build your team around. Maybe not so much, but I think he's really crafty. He's way better handling in ball screen action than I thought he was, which is good to see from a dude who's 6'4", 200 plus. If he gets back to his shooting from three from last season, as opposed to this season, you would really like that. I think he's super crafty and he's strong, and so he's a guy who could probably absorb some contact and finish. But he's not overly athletic or explosive. That's why we call him below the rim. He had one dunk all season for a bigger guard like that. And so you got to be super crafty and physically strong in the SEC if you're not finishing above the rim.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was 60% at the rim, which is it's okay. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
45.5% in the lane on 44 attempts. The thing things that stick out to me about him, you go to shout out to CVB Analytics, 6.6 defensive rebounds per game.
Mm-hmm.
Eric likes. I feel like we hear all the time, especially early in the season. We got to get our guards. We got to get our guards in there to rebound.
Yes.
Like a 6'4", 200-pound kid that doesn't have just a world of athleticism and explosiveness, grabbing 6.6 boards, tells me that he's crafty. He might be good reading misses off the rim while it's in, like reading, where the ball might hit while it's he's tracking the shot in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Might be good at doing some of that. 7 3-point attempts per game.
Ooh.
That's getting them up. Defensive rebound percentage 24%. Draws almost 4 fouls per game. So 2 turnovers per game. Don't really like that a whole lot. But you like the points per 40 minutes, 21.6. Like, you got to have some guys in here that can score. So.
He strikes me as the guy that might be able to bring you some scoring pop and some floor spacing in the second unit.
Sure. I think his turnover percentage, despite the couple turnovers per game, like turnover percentage isn't bad. Where he's going to help you is turnover percentage, free throw percentage, 2-point field goal percentage, defensive rebounding.
Yeah,
I think that's where he's going to benefit you most.
He definitely fits the mold of the kind of guy that Musselman likes. How often does he get to the free throw line?
His free throw rate. This is not good. 4.4 free throw attempts per game. That's 92nd percentile.
Okay.
National, for the season.
Yeah. So there you go. So he fits the mold in a lot of ways, and I also think. I know Muss has a lot of respect for that Furman program, and it's a winning program. And he's played in and won in the NCAA tournament. They were a little bit down this year, so was Arkansas. But so from that standpoint, I think there's a fit there, and Arkansas has already reached out to him. I wouldn't be surprised if Arkansas was one of those schools at the when he does his list cut to 4 or whatever that they're in the game there. Dude, Jacob Cruz.
I would be excited about it. But we can go to Jacob Cruz. But I'd be excited about Marcus Foster.
I would too. I
really.
mean, like we said for the last 6 weeks or whatever here, like we just need some dudes who've been on this board to be involved with Arkansas, and we've already got one. So I feel good about it.
If you're looking at this, legitimately, he was the 3rd guy I put up there.
Yeah, yep.
Beside teammate Alex Williams and Mikhail Brown-Jones.
Yeah, there we go. And we'll see who else hits the portal.
Mikhail Brown-Jones hits the portal. Curtis, I'm going to melt in the floor.
Yeah, man. That's the kind of guy.
Trezarian White too. Then all those guys, those first 6 guys, I think they've actually got my heart right now.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Jacob Cruz was the guy who announced his intent to enter the portal while we were in Nashville. UT Martin kid. This is a very interesting dude because he was at a junior college, was really good there, and then he went to North Florida for 2 years and just didn't really play there. So I don't know why. Like, I don't know what the problem was with the fit or whatever. He went to Tennessee Martin this year and freaking blew up.
He did.
And this is a dude who is a 6'8" guard, and he has an absolute strap from 3. I mean a strap. Like, he made over 83s and he shot over 40%. Like, the dude is hoisting it. Okay.
Yeah, that's impressive.
We had a lot of fun watching his tape. Arkansas has already contacted him. Shocker. He's a grad transfer. He's in the portal now. This is a dude that if I was the staff, I would be pushing hard to land early. Mm-hmm. Because I think if you're in a situation where you get this kid and he winds up being a starter for you, great. You could do a lot worse than that. But if he's a guy who winds up assuming the Jeremiah Davenport role off the bench, I think he would be, no offense, because we love JD around here, an upgraded version of that. Like, this dude, he can go.
Usually reserved for Missouri's Ken Pompage, but this is Jacob Cruz's his shot chart for the season.
Y'all see all that red around the arc?
Don't be scared by the red. The red is good.
The red is good.
There's a lot of red beyond the 3-point line.
That dude lets it fly.
59.4% from the right wing on 32 attempts. Finished at the rim at a 73.4% clip.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's what I love about Jacob Cruz is he's already creating dialogue with Razorback fans on Twitter.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
You told me yesterday he's a hog because he's commenting on
Dude,
with
I
these
love
guys.
it, man. Yeah, because one of those people who was like, because I was like, hey, man, he's got a strap from 3, like one to keep an eye on, whatever. And the first thing was, does he play defense though? And he commented to the dude, and he was like, yeah, the good defense is what turned into the good offense.
Right.
You know, I just
love
absolutely love that, man. And then somebody was like, oh, I saw him play at Little Rock, and they had him bottled up pretty good, so I don't know. And then he commented on that today and was like, yeah, they did a really good job on me or whatever the first time, but I did score a career high 35 on him the other time we played.
I was just about to say that. I literally wrote that in his bio. I was like, that's his high. It's his career high against a Division I team is Little Rock.
Yeah, that is my kind of guy right there.
I love it.
So he's already won me over, and we'll see what happens. But I definitely think, where was he on that?
He was number 2.
Number 2 on that ranking, yeah,
behind Javon Porter.
He's nice, man. And so I think that's a guy who Arkansas should push for sure.
I agree. And we talked about what you based on. You mentioned after a season in the past, Eric has identified an issue or a hole in a roster and tried to maybe sometimes overcorrect or overcompensate for that the next time around. This year it was that wing length.
Yeah.
6'8".
He's got it.
6'8" on the wing. Jacob Cruz could take good care of you.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Here's the other thing I'll say. Like, Arkansas is going to contact a ton of dudes, and in a lot of cases, it's easy to identify like who is just like a courtesy call to like see what's going on, or who might be a smokescreen, like who they would actually be interested in. Sometimes it's a little trickier. Here's what I will tell you about Jacob Cruz is based on the reaction I got from someone within the program when I just kind of sent a message and was like, hey, I really like the Jacob Cruz guy. So do they. So we'll see what happens there. Okay? But he's definitely a target.
Just watch his highlights.
Yeah. Fun guy to watch.
Really fun.
Let me ask you this, Scotty. I don't know when that list came out. Is there a Malik Dia in there from Belmont?
There is not yet.
Okay. There should be, because that dude is a hooper. Big man, 6'9", 240, very, very athletic and skilled for his position. He has my interest. He's got my eyebrows raised because there are some connections there. Some dots to be connected maybe with Arkansas. It doesn't mean he's going to come there, but there are some dots to be connected there. And this is a dude who has SEC experience. He started his career at Vanderbilt, didn't do too much there, transferred down to Belmont, and he's a bad man. Okay. This is a dude who can knock down threes at his size, shot it pretty well from out there.
34.4%. Yeah.
There you go. That's
over 125 attempts is what I'm looking at against D1 schools.
Good volume from a center. Super explosive. Like, he will dunk it on your head. He runs the floor. He catches lobs. He posts up, and he's really skilled on the block. This dude is an SEC level legit contributor in the post. And he's announced his intent to enter the portal. He's not a grad transfer, but I would imagine sometime Monday we will hear that Arkansas has been in contact, and this is a dude that you want. He's good.
Yeah, I like what I've seen so far from him. I pulled up his KenPom page. They've got that percentage of possessions used, I guess usage rate, basically first in America.
Dude, I love
Second
that.
in America in percentage of his team's shots taken when he's on the floor.
Feed that fella.
So if you want a big guy that can really, really score it for you, he seems like your guy. High fouls drawn, 44th in the country, 6.3 per 40 minutes played. Pretty good on the defensive glass too. What do you not like?
Yeah. Sign me up for that one. I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of suitors for him, but I would be very surprised if that's not a guy that Arkansas doesn't really push for hard early, because, like we said, they need an entire front court. And there's probably going to be a bunch of dudes who come from high major programs or maybe teams that are playing in the tournament later on during the portal window. But you could do a heck of a lot worse than starting with a guy like Malik Diaz. So I would be all over that. And again, Belmont is a program that wins a lot of games, and they're very well coached. And again, like he knows what to expect in the SEC. Like I think it could be a good deal there.
For sure. I mean, some of the like Belmont 20-13 this year. I think, schools like that, they're not like brand names, but those kids go to schools like that and they don't have everything given to them. If that makes sense,
right?
You get the opportunity. I feel like a kid like that, if you get him, in a program with more resources, more available to you, I think there's a appreciation factor for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a name to keep an eye on. I really like him.
He seems like I don't remember if I sent this to you or not. I saw it this morning. I was just Google searching him a little bit more. It seems like he's got a really good personality too. When Bobby Bones came down here and did the the too much access thing or whatever.
Yeah.
He did that at Belmont too, and Dio was one of the two players.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and so you got to hear from him a little bit and watch him interact and stuff, and it was pretty cool.
That's a pretty good sign because I'd listen to Bobby's show all the time, but yeah, whenever they've done the too much access, they get guys that have really outgoing, funny, likable personality. Like KB was, Caleb Battle was the guy at Arkansas,
right?
That's a personality right there.
Yeah,
so yeah, that's a good sign from him.
Yeah, exactly. And there's an Arkansas connection for you. He might just need to go down the road and be like, "Hey, man."
Yeah, Bobby Bags.
Bobby Bags. Yeah, we'll have to hit him up and let him know to put some work in. So, okay, another guy that I wanted to mention real quick, and this is a dude who came on my radar on Sunday afternoon. Grad transfer from Southeast Louisiana, Roger McFarlane. He checks a lot of boxes, and here is why. He is 6'5". He's 205 pounds. So he's a big guard. He's a grad transfer, and he's just a big time. Like everything I saw about him from national guys when he hit the portal was this dude can score. This dude is one of the best grad transfers available right now. This dude can fill it up. About 15 points per game. Nice, whatever. But here's what I really like about him. At the guard spot, the dude's averaging 8.6 rebounds per game.
Hello.
That's a lot of rebounds for that guard position, which you love to see. Again, he strikes me as a dude who might be a guy who can come off the bench for you and just give you some scoring pop. And we're talking about needing more length, and I think Arkansas needs more physical strength at the guard position. I think they could really benefit from that. And this dude really looks the part. And so maybe one early to keep an eye on. Shot 34% from three, made 58 of them, put up 170 attempts. That's a lot. Ooh. Shot over 100 free throws at 76.4%. So, pretty good piece there. And it seems like, a lot of the guys who, and I haven't watched him play. I didn't watch Southeast Louisiana this year.
Fair
but,
enough.
Nobody's holding that against Tipton and a lot of those other guys seem to think that he's would be a hell of a get for anybody. So,
I just saw 44% from three above the break.
I do like that.
Like that a lot. There's not a spot.
He shot 40% from three last year overall.
There you go.
He's 36.7% for his career.
45.5% right wing, 44.2% left wing, 41.9% straight away. A lot to like right there. Looking through the rest of his CBB analytics page, he has 7.2 defensive rebounds per game, 99th percentile. Fast break points, over 2 per game, like that a lot. Second, a guy like you figure if a guy is a good defensive rebounder, he's going to be a guy that can give you a hand with second chance points. 92nd percentile there, 2.2 per game.
There we go.
I really like him.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing him to my attention.
You're welcome. Yeah. So some pieces out there right now for sure, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to follow some of these early guys. And there are some other names that are circulating out there that listen, you know how it is. Like these are guys who haven't hit the portal yet, and maybe that'll come starting tomorrow, but there's some guys out there that it sounds like Arkansas already has quite a bit of traction with.
Yeah.
I'm not going to start throwing those names out there. I think that would be maybe in poor taste. So let's let these guys hit the portal first before we start talking about them. But just know that there are some names out there that we will be talking about quite a bit here very soon.
Sure.
I think would be the case.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Anything else?
Had a good time in Nashville.
Yes, really good time.
Had a really good time. Dinner the last night. Shout out to Branson.
Yeah, Hall's Chop
My
House.
gosh, dude. Hall's Chop House was an experience.
Holy cow. Yeah, it was really good. I'm still full.
It does feel really weird, though. I'm not going to lie to you. Feels weird not being a little bit antsy to cover a selection show.
Yeah, it does.
Just, it's weird. I don't like it. Hope it never happens again.
Yeah. Amen to that. That's a good place to end it. I feel the exact same way.
Let's not let it happen again.
And that's why I told you before we started doing this, I was like, I'm irrationally excited to record this pod today. And I think it's because this is what we have to hold on to right now.
Yeah.
Without because it would literally be a situation in the past where we're on pins and needles waiting to type in a school name for an opponent and then, hit publish on a story and then immediately start looking at flights and hotels for wherever the heck Arkansas is going. And we don't get to do that this year, and that's a shame. So
no, it's just it feels out of body a little bit. Like I just kind of I've got plenty of stuff I can do, like be with my family and be on check Twitter notifications and stuff like that for portal guys. But yeah, it feels
for sure.
It feels a little bit off.
For sure. Okay, well, again, you're going to be hearing a lot from us, so stay tuned on all that. If anything develops with Muss, we'll be live. We'll have another show out there. I would imagine, I don't want to speak for Scotty. I don't know what he's got going on tomorrow, but I would imagine sometime late afternoon tomorrow, we might get something else out there because once the floodgates open, there's going to be a lot of names of note that we probably want to talk about, and I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of the Arkansas has contacted so-and-so. So-and-so has heard from Arkansas.
Right.
And so we want to sift through those pretty quick after the first day, and we'll just kind of continue to, monitor what's going on out there. And when we feel like it's prudent, which is probably going to be pretty often, we'll be there to chat. And we want to do some of these live also. That way you guys, if you got questions, you can throw them in the chat or whatever, and we can get to them. But if you have anything in general, comment on the YouTube, comment on this pod on YouTube. My DMs are open. Can't believe I'm telling you guys it, but slide in the DMs.
That's dangerous, Curtis.
I know. Just hit me up if you have something relevant. But if you send me something stupid, if it's funny, then that's cool. We'll let that slide. If it's creepy, I'll probably just have to block you or something. If it's basketball related, that's what I'm talking about. So make sure and some of you have already done that. It's been some fun conversations. So,
but what if you're creepy but you like to talk basketball? You'll allow it?
It'll be a judgment call. I'll probably allow it.
Allow it. Okay.
Yeah. I don't mind somebody who is creepy as long as they're not directing the creep towards me.
Sure.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's fine.
Curtis is a good guy. Don't get him on your bad side.
All right. Well, again, appreciate everybody for rocking with us. This is kind of what we've been waiting for. So we're excited to cover it in a unique and very thorough way. But for Scottie Bordelon, this has been Curtis Wilkerson with Natty State Sports, the Pod at the Palace, Pod at the Portal, whatever you want to call it right now. But we will be back with another episode probably on Monday, likely on Monday, but definitely have several coming up your way. And make sure you tune in to everything we got going on otherwise over at Natty State Sports. Appreciate you guys. Talk soon.